And I was like, what is that, toothpaste?
Anybody that's watching will be too distracted with Axel constantly readjusting himself on camera anyways, so you'll be fine.
I'm not readjusting myself.
Just giving you a hard time, Axel.
I
You
do move
usually
around
black
a
out the
lot. I
screen.
move around a
Oh,
lot. It's my
he's got the
back,
wiggles.
and I can't sit still. Like
Yeah,
after I
I have the same problem.
maybe I am adjusting myself on camera. Hey,
Oh
get a
boy.
little something extra here at
Well, I
the
know you
DVR
told us
And you
last
said
time
you
before
weren't a
we.
pod zaddy.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
Oh,
That's our real
yes.
talk for this week,
Oh my
guys.
Yes,
God.
perfect.
Axel adjusting himself. All right, so we're live on the YouTube. So YouTube got that. That was fun. Um, let's see. What did I want to do? I wanted to just bring up a little bit of I had something. Oh boy, this is going slow as hell.
My internet has also been bonkers lately. It's probably
You're in
state
San
of the world.
Francisco, and even you have issues with bad internet out there, huh?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Actually, in San Francisco, in the financial district, it can be really horrible. I think it's
Really?
because the taller the buildings,
There's just
sometimes
the
the
signal
worse the
just doesn't.
signals are, depending on what you've got.
You'd think if anywhere had great internet, that would be the place it would. But I guess it makes sense with all the steel and
Yeah.
Yeah,
cement.
it can be bad sometimes.
Hmm.
Um, all right, let's do this. Let me record and then I will start. Here we go. All right, everybody, welcome back to Daily DVR. We're here once again to talk a little bit Stranger Things, the finale, the series finale, the season finale. I'm here with Andy and Gina, but first, remember to go to dvrpodcast.com and become a patron at patreon.com/DVR. We just finished covering Mayor of Kingstown, and Gina and I are starting to get our list together of people who are going to come on and talk a night of the Seven Kingdoms with us. Gina, should we invite Andy to come on and
I
talk
think
a
we
night of the
should.
Seven
Yes,
Kingdoms?
definitely.
All right.
Definitely.
Andy, would you like to come on and talk with us? What
I'm
about you?
honored. Yes, of course I will be there.
All right. Well, this has been a great show, everyone. Thank you very much for listening. Oh, no, just kidding. Who we got? Andy, Amy's gonna come on. We got to get Heath to come on. We got to get Bubba and Catfish. Hopefully, we can get Matt Murdock,
Oh,
the
yes.
original.
Yeah.
He said he retired
Yes.
from podcasting, but
What?
come on, you got to come back, Matt.
That's a lot.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be another one. We'll be covering that. We'll
That was
also
just a
be covering.
hiatus. He'll be back.
Of course, he has to come on. It's his podcast Winterfell. He started it.
I
Um,
know.
Heath and I will also be covering Hijack soon. That's going to be very
Oh,
fun. We're going to try to do 15, 20-minute quick episodes, which many people have said to me so far, I don't think you're going to be able to do that because you both talk too much. But we will see if we can keep it to
If you
15
have
or
like a
20
mini
minutes.
format, I bet you could do it. But you can't just go in and freewheel it because then you guys will be
No,
talking about who knows what for an hour and a half.
we're putting a timer, dude. Running a
that's what I
Yeah.
was
timer.
going to
Clock.
say.
Or there you go,
Roll the
timer.
timer.
Running a
7 minutes
timer.
for each of you. Go.
Yep. Speed round. We do that on football pods. The speed round.
Yeah,
Your
the
whole
speed
pod just has
round.
to be the speed round,
I
Axel.
like that. All right. Well, today we're here to talk about the Stranger Things finale. Of course, we talked about the first drop of episodes during Christmas, then the second New Year's, and now here we are. Oh, well, actually, the first was way back before that, I should
Thanksgiving.
say, Thanksgiving,
Oh
then
yeah.
Christmas, then New Year. And we got the finale. It's been about a week or so. It seems like it's been a year, but it's only been like a week or so since it
Yeah. 8
happened.
days. I think. Well, it came out. It's the 8th today, so 8 or 9
Crazy,
days.
right?
Yeah.
Oh.
There was a rumor that there was going to be a secret episode. What was it called again, Gina? You remember, right?
Contingency gate.
Conformity gate.
Interesting. Oh,
Conformity gate. Right.
conformity gate.
Contingency gate is a D&D spell thing, which is why I thought it was that. But conformity
Okay.
gate. Yes, that's right.
But this was probably just a weird internet rumor that started after they announced the documentary that was going to be coming out about the
Oh.
final season, which is what I told my son. He was so excited. He was like, "There's going to be and I was like, "Locke, actually, there's a documentary." And he was like, Oh, like he kind of
Oh.
he
And
got
there
it,
was
you know.
somebody else too that found some old, it turned out it was an old website from like 2023 or something, but it had a countdown timer on it. And it somehow the timer was supposed to end last night. So people thought that was some viral
Oh,
marketing thing. There was all
Um,
kinds of
oh,
people
the rumor
connecting,
mill.
wow.
Yeah.
connecting dots that weren't really there kind of a thing.
That's interesting. Well, you know what? That's actually an interesting place to start because what it really shows is that people want this story to continue. And usually I ask someone first. I'm going to start off with my opinion of the finale, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And my opinion was I loved it. I thought it was great, but I really felt like they were doing a lot of work to create a continuing world that was here. And I felt that almost from the beginning, some of the choices that they were making, I didn't feel like there was a lot of gravity to, I mean, of course, I thought, oh, what's going to happen to 11? But I wasn't scared a lot of people were going to die. That was not on my mind. I felt like I was watching a finale and saying goodbye to these people. But a big part of me did feel like, okay, I'm going to see more of this world in the years to come. So a little bit, did I love it? Yes. Did I think it was great? Yes. But I also thought it was almost like kind of a new type of finale where we know it's not really a finale because they're probably going to get these people back together in like 5 years anyway. Gina, do you agree, disagree? What were your impressions of the finale?
I loved the finale. I did have some issues with it, but overall I loved it. I was, of course, also bawling like a baby, Axel,
Yeah.
both times I watched it at the end. I do think there were some weird hiccups and maybe missed opportunities. But overall, I was happy with the end. But I do feel like they do leave you with that feeling of there is something more. But we can get into what that means, if it's more of a series or if it was just a context they were putting into the end.
Mhm. Okay. Ando.
Yeah, I really liked it. The first time I really liked it, but I liked it more the second time I watched it. If that I know that may sound strange, but the first time I watched it, like I mean, and I totally agree with you guys. There's definitely I have nitpicks with it. There's things where I'm like, you could have used another line here, or you didn't need this, or you should have. What about this thing, or why is this happening? I definitely have some of it. So anybody that complains about it, I totally get those complaints. My biggest complaint the first time, and it's probably my fault, and I I mentioned it on the first pod we did for this season, where I said this feels a lot like Lord of the Rings. If I would have known they were doing the Return of the King ending, where the last 45 minutes is basically one ending after the first time I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, there's something big going to happen. Vecna's going to come out and it was all an illusion or something. I mean, and I kept thinking, so I wasn't enjoying the last 40 minutes or so like I should have been.
Oh,
The
okay.
second time when I watched it, when I knew that's what the ending was, I loved the last 40 minutes. The first time I was like all tense looking for clues. What's going to happen? And like the military's coming back or some kind of crazy thing. And that doesn't happen, obviously. And the second time through, I loved the epilogue and showing where everybody was and what happened there and whether or not like 11 is alive or dead. I'm excited to talk about that because I think that's a big thing. But I ended up really loving that. Like I said, some of the story things I was a little bit not so sure about that. And like you said, there's a few things I wish they would have done or I have questions about. But I loved the story stuff. It in that way it actually reminded me a lot of Lost, where I love the story and
Yes.
character stuff so much. And that was always the reason I loved this show anyways. I love the mythology, but I love the characters and I'm glad I like to see that like I said the last 40 minutes I really really loved. I thought it was a perfect finale. So that part of it anyways. So after the second time when I wasn't on edge trying to figure out what else was going to happen because it really was nothing. So I don't know. That's my initial thoughts anyways.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It does feel a bit, that is a great comparison. I mean, we compare everything to Lost, but that is a great comparison because it did feel a lot to me about the emotions.
Hmm.
Here I am adjusting myself again. It does feel a lot about the emotions, and which I really, I mean, especially I guess epilogue, you would call it,
Yeah.
had me just like a ball of
It's
tears.
one
I thought
after
it was
another.
so
Yes.
Mhm.
beautiful. Everything was really great, I mean, especially for me. was Dustin's speech. That was the
Yeah.
best thing for me because I always think that I look around the world today and that kind of like feeling is just not as present as it was when we were growing up.
Yeah.
Just like, you know what I mean? Just like, fuck the man, like, be yourself, be an individual is not a huge rallying cry of the internet generation. It's actually quite the opposite. It's like, do what everyone else is doing, do the new thing, you know?
Well,
So I
I
love
mean,
that.
yeah, and that was a homage to Eddie too,
Yeah.
because that
Yes.
was his speech
Yeah.
Yeah, the first
uh,
time when we see him,
in the
that was
cafeteria.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. And
You know,
that's
I
what I
know
loved about him.
I love that. I can't decide which one of those because the scene I also loved that I really loved even more the second time was on the rooftop of the radio station with the four of them,
Oh,
and saying, "Let's do this every month." And the whole time, I'm like,
it's
I've been
never going
through
to
that.
happen.
It's not happening,
I
but
know.
everybody wants to say it and everybody wants to believe it, but they all know it's over. You can and you could tell in the actors' faces that it's over. Same thing
Yeah.
as the basement scene with when they putting the stuff on the back on the shelves and all that. Just the cast interactions and all those scenes were so fantastic. I just amazing stuff.
Yep, the Stranger Dangers, the end. What did we think of I mean, as we pick up in this episode, we're headed towards our final battle and the two worlds as we talked about last episode. We decide not to go with the plan to fly the helicopter, which I would have preferred. Okay? I like the helicopter plan.
They would
It
have
was
really
just kind of
struggled to
fun.
get that through, I think,
Yeah, I don't think
considering
it would
how
have
hard
went
it was to
through.
get the radio station thing, the
Well,
antenna through.
I just envisioned some kind of thing where like the blades hit the top, right? And as it's crashing
Chip away.
through, it like flips, the gravity flips, you know, and then the helicopter like a whoosh, whoosh, like starts working again or something magically. I don't know. But I thought the way that all of that came together and the plot points uh were satisfying, you know. They gave us a kind of D&D strategy. They went about it. It looked like everything was going to crash, but they were able to climb up into there. They looked like the warriors and stuff. I mean, I thought all of that stuff was pretty cool. What'd you think about that, Gina?
It was good. I was worried for a second there. I thought we were going to lose Steve Harrington right away. And I was
That's what I
like,
was going to ask you guys. Did you
no.
guys think he was a goner there?
I was like, what? And then you see this hand, and I totally thought it was Dustin and it was Jonathan. And I was like, oh, because all along I've kind of felt like Steve would totally sacrifice himself for like to save Jonathan and the others. I never felt that like Jonathan was that invested in making sure everyone got out alive. And so I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this like kind of redeems Jonathan because I kind of thought he was just a whiny baby for the
He
most
he had
part
a
of
good
this.
season. He had a good season. This was one of his better seasons that he's ever had. Jonathan has had, I think.
Jonathan?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was really whiny. He
Yeah,
was
well,
really
he
like,
was, but I mean, I like the scene of him when they decide to break up too in the last
yes, that
episode.
was
So
good.
it's back to back. Him going out on a strong
Yeah,
point, I think.
definitely. Yes.
After he realized what he actually wanted and didn't want to stay in Hawkins and wanted to go become some hipster film producer of a
I know.
cannibal commercial.
Oh my
What was it
gosh.
called? What the heck was it called? The Consumer.
The consumer. Yes. Oh,
The
so
Funny.
Jonathan.
consumer. Um, so we had our crew doing that, but at the same time, we had 11 and Hopper going in and trying to get into the tank so she could, on the other side, access Henry Vecna's mind, right? And
Hmm.
kind of get the children out that way, which I thought was cool too. It was a little clunky because sometimes still it was a little hard to tell, like, okay, so they're in the upside down tank one, you know what I'm saying? And then the
Right.
way that then Henry played with Hopper's mind, so he saw all like the gas canisters all around and
Yeah.
No,
right.
that was not Gasket. That was
Agent
Agent Orange.
Orange
Oh, I'm sorry,
from Vietnam.
ancient,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So it was kind of freaking him out. And then this part, I thought, because there's been a lot of talk about this, where he imagines that he's shooting through right, but he
Yeah.
Hmm.
actually ends up, then that is fake, but he's actually shooting 11 and he opens up the tank to take her out, but he hasn't actually shot. she hasn't been shot at all.
Mhm.
He's just severed
The
uh
link.
the
Yeah.
link, leaving the children alone and having to run by themselves back to the cave. But I thought for a second, I was like, why didn't they just have him shoot her? It was weird that
Well, because
the sh
I think he still wanted information from 11. I think Vecna. I don't think he wanted her dead yet.
okay. I don't
Vecna
know.
Maybe.
wanted her to be severed, wanted to be severed from that link, but didn't want her dead yet. Is what that was what I took it as, but maybe I'm
Okay.
wrong. I've seen a few people complain about this. I don't know if you guys noticed this. I didn't really till after I read some stuff later, but the fact that there's a water in that tank. We famously
That
have
wasn't
not seen
disgusting.
well, and we really haven't seen water in the upside down. Like when Barb shows up in the pool, it's empty. When you see, there's a couple
Oh,
other times where
that's
there's
Oh,
pools
right.
where there's
Lover's
no,
Lake.
Yeah.
It
yeah, the lake is empty.
was
There,
empty. Yeah,
there
you're
really
right.
isn't water in the upside. I think the only time I could think of was, and I don't think this counts as the upside down because when Max is running up that hill, that's in Vecna's mind. I think that's not the upside down
Run
because you
up
see her
that
splashing
hill.
and stuff,
Right.
but I mean, I don't really care. It doesn't really bother me, but I've seen a lot of people like, well, there's no water in the upside down. And I started looking up. I'm like, yeah, I guess there is a lot of instances of where there should be, where there isn't.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, the whole tank I kind of have an issue with because there's a time in one of the earlier episodes we see her listening in on a conversation in Russia, which means her abilities can go nuts without, and that was without the tank.
mhm.
So I'm kind of like, we really needed the tank to get to the abyss. Like, you might have needed the
Yeah.
tank to get to Hawkins. I can see that when you're in Nevada or wherever. But I don't think she really needed that tank. And to get to them. I mean, maybe it's because but she didn't know where the Russians were when she
the
was
the only
spying on
reason
them.
I can even think of that would be needed, and they didn't say it, so it's not in the show, is that Vecna does say, "I'm more powerful now," and maybe that's
Yeah,
part of it,
Yeah.
but
that
that
could be
really isn't
true.
mentioned. But besides him saying that, so I mean, that's kind of me making an excuse
Make
for
a
the
str
show. But
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
no, I mean, look, there's a lot of that in
yeah,
this,
yeah,
right?
for
And
yeah,
and
sure.
and really the answer is you want to separate 11 and Hopper so
Yep.
11
yeah,
can pop up again in the end like she always likes to do, right? This is
yeah,
like the
And
third or
they can
fourth
have their
time.
nice scene together.
Yeah.
And that's a good way to keep Murray there too. Do you really need Murray going into the abyss? I mean,
Yeah.
he's better off doing what he does with his big
Yes.
throw the grenade into the helicopter, which I was
yeah.
cheering during that scene. That was awesome.
That was
But
good.
there's another part of this scene though, which is that I mean, we later find out that well, I guess is that in this scene or is that a little bit later when Callie gets shot?
It was after that because
Yeah,
Callie
that's
was there
Right.
also blindfolded because they were going in together and then they were bringing Max in.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
that's later on after they like get snapped. I'd call it snap because it looks just like the effect that Thanos does. But when they all get sucked out of Vecna's dreams, when the tank gets
Yeah.
shot, she gets pulled back out with all three of them. Her Max and
Yeah.
Yeah.
eight, Max 11 get pulled off. So yeah, she's around for a little while yet longer. Eight.
But what did we I guess in the end, Callie has a different has we see kind of what the purpose of the character was, essentially, right? Which is I guess, if we are to believe, to keep that vision up. But I was disappointed in that.
Well,
I just wanted to bring that,
she was also integral in getting the kids out because she has the thing. So Vecna thinks they're gone.
Yeah.
She's
Right.
doing and that allows Max and her to get them out. So her purpose also is to help get the kids out. It's not just the end illusion
Yeah.
thing.
But what did we think? Because we talked a lot about her and about why she's there, the whole lead up to finding her, the
I
purpose.
do think her role could have been expanded on somehow a little more. Like she didn't make connections really with any of the other characters. Hopper said he would kill her if he had to. There was no connection, but then I kind of wonder maybe she was just resigned. She just wanted to die anyway after like we don't know how long she'd been stuck there in underground. We assume at least like a year to 18 months after Hawkins, split open since we were 18 months after that you know, uh, splitting open event. And so after that, she just might have wanted to die and couldn't see any way forward.
Yeah, which is very sad, which is
I
Hmm.
mean,
not, you know.
I think with her, I think you probably could have taken her out of this season and it wouldn't really have hurt anything. You could have easily written those parts out of there, but at the same time, I understand not wanting to leave that big loose plot thread out there of this her out in the world somewhere. So
Yeah, but I mean, they let other loose plot threads out. Like, Susie could have come in to help them save the world somehow.
yeah,
You could have had Argyle there again.
yeah.
There were
Well,
other
I
people they
think
could have brought in to help
in
too.
this specific case, so I think it's because so much of this is about getting rid of all the numbered kids
That's true.
that that's I think that's why it's a little bigger one, just because she has superpowers too. That was my only
Yeah.
reason why I would say that. But I don't know. I mean, I didn't dislike it, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Um, but I also, I don't know. I felt like there was an opportunity with the Callie character to do something more different, and I wouldn't be, maybe that's, I mean, obviously in the end with the story, it serves a purpose, but you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyone have idea where we want to go next? Gina, Ando,
Oh gosh.
Let's see.
or should me, the host, push
Where
us forward?
where should we go? Um, what did you guys think about the team of 8, 11, and Max going through Vecna's mind? I thought all that stuff was pretty cool. I liked it. I liked seeing Max be an active character again.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
I read
she was the
something
one that
today.
knew. She's like, wait for it.
Yeah, the curtain thing and through the weird play and all that.
Yeah.
I read something today that I didn't realize, but Max is the only main character that's never been in the Upside Down.
Interesting.
Oh.
Because
Oh, that's
I was thinking
interesting.
back and I'm like, that can't be true. And I'm thinking back and I'm like, that's why I said the thing before about she's been in Vecna's mind and that's where the running up the hill and all that whole stuff. That was in his mind. That
Yeah.
was not in the Upside Down.
Interesting.
So yeah, thought it was a fun little trivia tidbit that I came across.
Oh, yeah. That is interesting.
Let's
Huh.
see, what else do we have here?
Um, I mean, when they go into the abyss, I don't know. I mean,
Okay,
this is the big criticism is like, where are the Demogorgons? Where are all
that's
his
the bats. Yes, I was just
yeah.
gonna ask that same question. I I mean, I read some interview with the Duffers, and they said that Vecna never thought they would get to the abyss, so he had them elsewhere. But I'm like, I don't buy that excuse
Yeah.
at all. I mean, it seemed like there was a never-ending supply of those things in season 4.
Right.
Well, I
And they would have been guarding any like access to the abyss, you would think.
yeah,
Like they would have been all over that radio tower climbing up it.
yeah,
And you could have even come up with yes, I thought of this too, because remember we were talking about how we were thinking like the creatures, since the thing in the middle, since the upside down is really just a gateway between these two worlds, right? And it represents a little bit of each. All of those things should be up there because that's really where they come from.
Mm.
Because a lot of what the upside down is populated by is a copy of Earth,
yeah.
right? So the creatures and the weird shit flying, populate it. Maybe they could have, but what I was thinking is maybe they could have said something like, and I think we even talked about it, like he had cleared out this world so it could be fresh when the worlds meet together, and
Um,
or something like that,
The
but I don't know. I
the
was
other
trying
part
to
of it
come up
that
with something.
the other part of it that bugs me though is there's the bats and the demo dogs. They weren't in Hawkins. They weren't in either Upside Down.
right. Just weren't
The
there.
Yeah.
the our side of Hawkins' side or the Abyss side of the Upside Down. They weren't being attacked on the radio tower. They also weren't being helping when the mind flayer is getting attacked later. So I'm like, that something there because they've been such a huge part of the series that why? I mean, were the ones that Mrs. Wheeler killed in the basement the last 3 left
We
or what? I
ran
mean,
out of
what's
CGI budget.
yeah, it's so yeah,
Yeah.
that's another one of those minor complaints I have. Like, really, is there not? What's it just seemed that seemed odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I have to say that it did occur to me briefly, but one of the things I really did like about this episode, and I mean, we're talking about one episode, which was what, about 2 hour, what was it,
Yeah.
2:13 or
Little
something
over
like
two.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hours long, and it really moved. Like I think a lot of the reason why we might be like, oh, what do you want to talk about next, is because they did take care of a lot of the emotional stuff that they had to end before the final battle in the last batch of episodes,
Mm,
right? Like with Steve and
Hmm.
Dustin. And yes, there is a conversation with Hopper and Elle about, I'm not your daughter and you've got to let me go. But that was kind of like a continuation.
yeah.
That's
And
that plot line of, is she going to kill herself, right? Like
Right.
that was really what that was kind of pulling out for
I think we
us.
even mentioned that when we covered the last bit episodes that we said it felt like a lot of the storylines have already been wrapped up and have
Yes.
already been kind of
Right.
closure to a lot of them.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
and I don't
And
mind that happening.
no, not at all. And that's why I say we move into when they actually get there and then they kind of discover that this big fortress that Henry was creating is the Mind Flayer itself,
Mm.
which he is so the thing here too is they didn't do too much exposition about, okay, the kids provide the power for it was kind of obvious of what was
Yeah.
happening. Like he was like
Yeah.
resurrecting this thing
Yep.
and giving it
I think
power.
that's kind of what I had thought it was when I mentioned that it looked like the Mind Flayer last week, is I thought it
Yeah.
was in
Right.
hibernation or something. And the end of this, I'm still not clear because it looks like it goes back into hibernation when they kill Vecna, and it kind of
Well, that's the
I'm
thing,
like,
Ando, is
huh.
like, and they don't explain. That's what I'm saying
Yeah,
is,
there's some loose threads for plot
Yeah.
threads for
yeah,
spin-offs here for sure.
even why it looks like it looks like. We're talking about where are the creatures and all. It almost again made me feel like a Star Wars shit where they're leaving that open to do a mini series on the 3 days before the
Fill in
fight.
the gaps.
Or
Rogue
yeah, you
One
know
of
what I
Stranger
mean? Like
Things, yes.
exactly. Like it just was a little suspicious to me. I was just kind of like, huh, there's not, sometimes they give a super lot amount of exposition and then sometimes they don't.
Yeah, they
And
just
when they
glossed right
don't,
over it, and yeah,
yeah, when they don't, I'm like, okay, that's because they put that on a chalkboard of possible sequel ideas.
yeah.
What is the mind
Yeah.
flare? What happened
But yeah,
to
there's a
Henry?
that's I think that's one of the biggest Marvel influences on this show, the
Yeah.
MCU stuff. Is MCU
Yeah.
is great at doing that, especially you go back and look at old ones. There's all kinds of breadcrumbs they leave in each one. A lot of them I never
Yeah.
pick up on, but they leave them all sitting there just in case they want to bring one
Well,
back into the future.
and I think
Yep.
that stone that somehow melded with Henry that connected him to the mind flare, it's like, well, Henry's dead, but there's got to be that stone has to be somewhere.
There's an interview they gave with Variety that I just read before we started. They have said that's what the first spinoff is going to be based on, is what where that rock came from, or what's the story with the
Hmm.
rock, and
Okay.
what
Oh, we get into
the
Which
that
Duffers
which
now?
have
means the
confirmed
Okay.
mind
this.
flayer would still be alive somehow if he infiltrates it, if that stone comes across another person
Hmm.
and he's like, come and find me
Can
again,
reactivate it. So
or
they said it's not
before.
going to deal with Hawkins or any of the characters we know, but we're going to find. He's like, well, it's not necessarily going to find it in a mine somewhere or something, but
And
they are going to we are going to see that again.
it could be
Yeah.
a prequel
Hmm.
set in the
For sure.
40s, 50s, and World
Yes.
War II stuff would kind
Hmm.
of make sense as as a superpower
Or
like
or somebody finds that we don't really see
yeah,
what happens with that stone. Maybe it's still
we
around
don't.
somewhere. Maybe
Yeah,
somebody
we
finds it
don't
in the
know.
90s and then we have Stranger Things
Yep.
1997 or
Yes.
yeah,
Maybe.
there's lots of ways they could go.
Um, Maybe that's the reason that why father was beating up Henry. He was like, "Where's the stone? Where's the
Oh,
stone?"
yeah.
Like they go back. I'm glad we're talking about that. Yeah, kind of flew past that point because that was when they were all escaping with the kids and everything like that. And I thought that too was of I agree with everything you're saying about there being a prequel and who the guy was. And you even saw like got a flash of a badge that
Of bad,
everyone can
yeah.
go freeze and look
Yeah.
up on the internet, but I liked that. I thought that that was cool. And I guess that it is confirmed that that's where
Yes.
Henry got his
Confirmed.
powers from. Thank you, Lachlan. But the way they did it was really cool. I liked all of that. I thought
Yeah.
that that was really
I
interesting.
thought that was a good Easter egg for a setup because they wouldn't have to do that, but if they want to, that's an easy spot to go, and they don't have to have it tied to our characters at Hawkins or anything. They don't even need to
Yeah.
have that tied to Vecna. I mean, they can just have that be a whole separate thing, besides the Mind
Mhm.
Flayer, obviously, or
Oh,
the
that's the
Abyss.
last scene. That's the last scene of the miniseries is the guy escapes with the stone. And you know what I mean? Like, and then it continues,
Mm.
right? Like
Oh
that's
yeah,
the
Yeah.
that could be,
prequel.
yeah, for sure.
What it also does is for the character of Henry, they had already been working a bit on making him empathetic and making us think and having 11 and 8 empathize with him too because they went through the same thing and kind of feel like we're a part of him. What's this lineage of why did this happen? But also in the respect that the guy, he is just a regular kid at this point,
Mm.
right? There's no craziness and there's no powers. So the guy shoots him, right? And the guy is like saying to him, they send you or something like that,
Yeah.
right? Like he says something like that. So
Yeah, who sent
this
you? I think, or
who
yeah,
said
did
right,
they send you
which
something like?
clues us into the fact that there
There's
will be a
another tribe of children with powers
well, that this thing has taken over children in the past or something, right? Like
because their
it just
minds are weak.
it fits into the story. And then what happens? He gets angry and scared and he kills the guy. So he becomes a bad thing.
Yeah, that's
Now, if he had been nice to the guy and touched the rock, would he be good?
Mm.
Is the
no.
rock
This
neutral
is
or is it
this is
what
the
you
Ring of
bring?
Power. This is Gollum turning, or
Oh
this is
yeah.
Smeagol turning to
Okay.
Gollum. I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, I don't know. We
I
don't
get so many
know,
Lord of the Rings here.
right?
That's what I thought of at first was
Yeah.
Gollum in that whole
Well, I
sequence.
see. I thought of pure evil from Time
I
Bandits.
also thought of that because it looks just
Yeah.
like the pure evil at the end of it, just because I just rewatched Fine Bandits recently.
But
As
but you see, for me, that's why I found that scene, the way they did it. And that's why I think these guys are really brilliant because it could have been just a kind of a throw off scene, but they really worked hard on creating a scene that kept the same themes that were going on with what Henry was saying. I take the little kids, right? And then the whole anger and fear thing. And I don't know. I thought it was really, I got everything out of that scene that I wanted. I thought it was super cool, and I'll watch the prequel 100%.
Oh yeah,
one
definitely.
thing I loved about that scene too is they didn't redeem Henry. I was afraid they were going to have a big redemption thing for him, and he is a bad guy. He should
Yeah.
not have had the Anakin Skywalker and some of that redemption. I really did not want that. I'm so glad he's like, no, I wanted to do this. This is me. I am a bad guy. I thought that was refreshing because I didn't want to see another redemption story there.
Yeah, but we don't know that though because he was just a little kid, Ando, when he went into that cave.
That's true,
Mm.
but adult Henry said this at this point, so
Well, that is a lesson in life. At a certain point,
Yeah.
you are an adult and you're responsible for your
yeah.
actions, right? Even if bad shit happened to you when you were a kid, it doesn't give you the excuse to hurt other people, even though we all know that hurt people hurt people.
That's
Um,
exactly right. You know what else?
Gotta say
Before
that
we're
on
still
every
on Vecna,
podcast.
I gotta say Jamie Campbell Bower, the guy that plays him, was freaking amazing
So
in this
Yes.
good.
finale.
Mm.
He
Oh,
was
yeah.
awesome in this
He's
in the
gonna
last
explode. He'll
episode.
be,
I
yeah.
I think he's going to be in the next season of the Lord of the Rings thing on Amazon.
Yeah, I think I heard that too.
Oh,
I think he has been
Yeah.
cast in Rings of Power. Yes.
And he was
okay.
one of the
Sorry. Remind
vampires
me.
of the Volturi in the Twilight series. So he's got some big franchise energy. Why don't we put it that way?
Oh, I'm
That's an
looking at this too. He
interesting
was also in one of the
choice.
Fantastic Beasts movies. He played young Grindelwald.
Oh
Really?
yes. Yeah, I could yeah, I think I
Okay.
recall his little face. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of genre stuff. I like to
Yeah.
see him branch out and do some drama or do something, I think he's got it in him.
I'm sure he does, but he's also got a look that
He
is like
does.
he's very
Totally.
pretty.
Yeah, he
It's
definitely
just
has a
he's
look.
Yes.
very pretty. He's not like your rom-com guy. He could do a drama
No.
for sure, I
Yeah.
think, but he's definitely like not a rom-com mainstream.
There's a
Very
really
interesting.
fun video of him going around that I guess on the in the Broadway play, the last scene or one of the last scenes is Vecna appearing and showing or Henry coming like turning around, and it's just a very short scene. But he went in and surprised and like played the role on Broadway and nobody knew it. Like one night
Oh,
only kind of
cool.
came in and he does this turnaround thing and you just hear the crowd just go absolutely bonkers for him on stage.
Nice.
It's a fun little
That's
video I
cool.
saw recently. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, so we have the big battle, which is very cool. I like the way that they did this and they went and got the high ground, right? And we're like shooting at it and
I
being
thought my prediction of
Rambo and
Nancy sacrificing herself was actually going to happen. She was awesome in that too. When she
Yeah,
runs out, it's
she
like,
was
I'll be the
great.
decoy. And I thought, oh man, she was so awesome in her Rambo slash Ripley moment there. I loved her. I
Yeah.
think she was one of my favorite characters in the show. I just love Nancy.
yes. And then of course Elle appears. Um, it's just a great yeah, Nancy, Lucas.
And then
Oh, well,
Joyce gets the final word.
yes. Joyce gets the final
Yeah.
So
cut of
one
the
of my
head.
other minor nitpicks is Joyce doesn't really even have a line until like almost an hour into this finale. She was barely in this. She was
And it's
pretty
kind of
much the star of the first season.
surprising she actually went into the abyss with them too, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
when that yeah, and at the end too, I mean I get it because it all starts with her kid being taken, right?
right.
Mhm.
So, and that was so much of the first season,
Yeah,
so you
I
want to
like
bring it
that,
back
like what
around,
she does in
but
there, but it was strange that she was barely featured in this at all.
I bet you there was a scene cut left on the
There
floor or
probably
something,
were.
you know.
Yeah.
So, but then but they do get a good bit of the epilogue.
Hmm.
They
You
do.
know, they get a good
Yes.
bit of, we get to
They
see
get the
that.
happy
That
ending.
was cool.
She and Hop.
But yeah, the head being chopped off, it was a bit, it's like, this is final, you
Yeah.
know, the head gets chopped off. But then again, we have seen sometimes the little legs grow on the bottom of the head and it starts
Yeah.
crawling back to the
Yeah.
body.
And regrows. Yeah.
Yep,
Or
and
yeah,
it
reattaches.
attaches
Yeah.
itself. It has happened before. And then so then we go from there to Prince is playing, everybody's leaving, and as they pull out, of course, the military is
Yeah.
there, and we get our sad ending scene with Elle disappearing, which was very suspect and but fun though. I liked it. It was interesting, right? Like you don't know how something is like the upside down is going to explode or disappear or whatever it's we don't
Implode or
implode.
whatever.
Yeah, we don't know
Yeah.
what it is. So the fact that she just kind of whoosh, like disappears like that, I thought was an interesting touch. And how she was missing, like, where is she? And then they all come to the realization. And you know, at that point, I don't know what I thought. I was thinking to myself, nah, she's not dead because of the kind of fading away. It kind of made me feel like she's not really gone. Did you guys feel that way too?
Um,
I thought she was right away. I thought she was.
yeah, me
Oh,
too.
really?
I'm still not sure what my feelings are. I waver back and forth, but on my initial watching, I'm like, she's gone.
Okay. Well, let's get
Yeah.
to it. Let's go. We'll talk about the other epilogue parts, but I mean, the real end is the telling of the story of,
Yes.
you know, Callie projected this image, and then you see the little twitching of the hand that they showed us right before. And that really Elle has gone back to her homeland of New Zealand to shoot Enola Holmes 3. Oh, wait, they already shot that.
She went
But
to New Zealand, home of Hobbiton.
oh, wait,
Oh
isn't
yeah,
she
oh
from New
yes,
Zealand?
No,
Is she?
she's British.
yeah,
Oh, she's
British, I
Brit. Oh,
think.
I
Yeah,
thought she was
Yeah.
from New Zealand. It's not. She should be from New Zealand's so awesome. I'd really love to go there. Has anyone here ever been to New
No, I
Zealand?
haven't.
unfortunately not.
Oh
I have
man,
some friends that lived there for like a year. They said they loved it, but they said it gets very remote after a while.
Yeah.
yeah. Perry lived in Australia for a semester in
Cool.
college, and that's not New Zealand, but
That's
they kind of
Close-ish.
similar.
pretty
Yeah,
close. Yeah.
pretty close. Anyway, that, you know, she is alive and got away or whatever. And then they all will continue on, of course. We see the new kids come in, which of course did make me cry too, even though annoying Holly is a part of it. Um, Not my favorite casting. Probably the worst casting of the entire run
Oh,
of
really?
the
I
series.
thought Holly was all right.
I
I
don't
didn't
have a
have a problem
problem
with
with
her.
her.
Really,
I mean,
I
she's no
didn't just
dipshit
didn't.
Derek.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I just felt she was just not engaging to me. She
She needed
just
to scream
looked
out
the
"suck my
part.
fat one" a few times.
No, it just never got. She looked. I mean, she's a kid actor. I'm not going to shit on a kid actress. I just felt it was not cast well. I didn't think I think, and maybe not even written that well
Yeah.
either.
Now,
Could
she
it
might
a little
actually be
more
from New
pizzazz?
Zealand,
Oh,
I think,
really? I would like to hear
for
an
some
accent
reason.
there.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, I mean, of course, Holly was 2 years older than she should have been, too,
yeah,
which I
that's
still
true.
have an issue
That's
with.
true.
She was 3 in the first episode.
Well, they grow
3.
fast out there in
I
Hawkins in the
guess
lab.
so.
Something in the
All,
water.
all, all those particles coming out
But
from
did
the.
you so Andy, you're not sure if that story is
A lot
real.
of me still thinks it's Mike telling the story that he is using to
Cope.
accept what had
Yes.
happened.
Okay.
After
Okay.
that conversation with Hop. And
Yeah.
same. Um, I'm kind of 50-50. I want to believe, but as they all said, they believe at the end. But I
Mhm.
do think it's his coping mechanism because I feel like we would have had some type of bigger tell that it was true if it was. Like he would have left that door open 3 inches and he didn't when he's leaving the basement, or there would have been like some kind of uh noise on the walkie when the other kids were down there. Like I feel like there would have been a different, some other kind of little tell clue to validate if it was 100%. I'm like 50-50. I
Okay.
think Callie was pretty dead by the time they
That's
left her there.
that was the other thing I was like, I just don't see Callie being able to accomplish
Yeah,
what is said there.
yeah.
Mhm. Well, I think she's 100% alive, because they need to make more Stranger Things.
Could be.
Well,
Um,
We could see her in, they could put it forward in like, 10, 15 years and she has a
well,
kid. It comes back
I
and
definitely, I mean, if see, that's kind of where I'm at of two minds. Part of me
yeah,
wants to say yes, they will be back because
yeah.
like one of the biggest influences for this whole story is it. And one of the giant things in it is they reunite 27 years later to fight
Mm,
the same menace that comes back. I don't think they're going to wait 27 years to do this, but and she'll be the one that they find to go get. And also, like I said, with the Lord of the Rings thing, that if this is the ending, it's very much like what Frodo and Bilbo do at the end when they sail away with the elves. They have to leave everything and be by, and nobody can be with them again. So that part of me, like, and the common sense part of me, like, the spin-offs are coming or sequels are coming in 10 years, whatever, says yes, she's alive. But what I'm seeing on the screen is like, no, I don't think she is. I think it's a coping mechanism.
yeah.
okay. Okay.
If that,
I
so
mean,
I'm of
I
two
don't know
minds.
that his story is the exactly what happened. I think she has powers too and can probably do the same thing that like Callie, maybe there's some another
But
version where
but
she
that
taught
was
her
the
how to do it or,
that was the thing. She couldn't use her powers because they had the her
The Sonic,
kryptonite beams, sonic
yep,
beams
the Sonic
going at the
beam's
time
going.
she disappeared.
Yeah, but she was
Sorry.
on the other side of the thing too, right? So it could be that the sonic beams don't
But
travel through that.
when it was used earlier in the season, back by when they were by the wall, and she was like in a car or something, and it still was going through all the. I mean, she was behind other walls and things before, and it wasn't necessarily aimed
Okay.
right at her, and it was still.
Well, we shall see. I also think it's a little, I don't know, to end the show with suicide is a little strange. But,
I do agree with that.
you know,
Though there was this thing in like the late 80s, early 90s where teen suicide was like on the uptick. So
yeah,
is it that foreign that we have both Callie and her
I don't know.
go that way to save others? Like it's one thing if it was just like a suicide, but she did it to save everyone. It
Yeah,
was more of a sacrifice than a
I I
suicide.
I guess, but it also is not um in it's like when I never like when people sacrifice themselves in movies because I always think like, wait a second, what the fuck? How does she know that they don't have another way to get into the upside down? They just had this all this. She's standing in front of a bunch of fucking military shit that she totally doesn't understand and doesn't know the history of. She doesn't know what they have. So killing herself could be a total and complete waste of time. She just kills
Well,
herself to kill herself.
and we have seen many times over in this series of the plans of the kids are not don't
That's what
work,
I'm trying to
but
say.
like
That's
they
why.
don't. I mean, and there's a couple other things like that too. Like one of their main objectives was to not have any more blood, any more of the blood of 11
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
Well, would Brenner have not taken blood samples over the years with her? And
Thank you.
what about all the pregnant women that are in Dr. K's
I
upside
know. Well,
down
they were
lab?
in the upside. Oh,
Are they all murdered too?
okay. So, speaking of upside downs, we're fairly certain we see her hiking in New Zealand, right?
Or I thought it was
Yeah.
either that or maybe
Yeah.
Iceland or one of those
I was thinking for a minute
Norwegian countries
she
or
was upside down
Scandinavian.
on the earth.
Oh,
But
Oh,
that's
nice.
funny.
um but I mean it we don't know where the upside down went. It was obliterated from Hawkins, but it doesn't mean it's
Yeah,
somewhere
Yes,
else.
doesn't mean that it's
totally.
gone. Just
And
means they sealed that
if
portal.
those radars weren't around her, she could have still been in the upside down and powered her way out wherever it ended up, right? Because I think she did that before at the end of season
Oh, I
one.
see what you're saying. She could have got sealed in the upside down
Sealed
and
in the
went
upside
somewhere else and
down,
exited.
it went somewhere else. We don't know where.
Yeah.
And she was able to bust out because I mean, did the Russians really bring all those demogorgons from Hawkins to Russia?
Yeah, that's true. There's got to be other
So
access points.
there have to be other access points. So,
That's
I
what
mean,
I'm saying.
okay. All
Exactly.
right.
Exactly. That's why it doesn't, I mean, it
The
does.
thing
And
about the thing about that though too, then why wouldn't Mike's story? Well, Mike's story is wrong, obviously, because he said that Callie puts an invisibility cloak on her for her to
Well,
escape.
but
So
that's his
yeah, that's how
coping
his story
mechanism. It
goes.
doesn't
Yeah,
mean that's what
yes,
happened
exactly.
yeah,
How
if
that's
she's
about
true.
still
that?
alive.
How about
Yeah.
it's the Russians? When everything gets whooshed away, it's just a wind that like blow. We see her being like blown around, and then all of a sudden she's like, "Conrad, I found something." And then it's like, they pick her up, and then, and then we flash forward to like the Monica Lewinsky scandal, and Gina and I are doing a
Oh my
podcast on
God.
it. And then
Yes.
and then she's
I
stuck in
don't
a
know.
gulag or whatever it is. I think there's so many, it was appropriate. I liked it. We're talking about it, but I
Yeah.
think it leaves it open for more
I,
fun
I actually
stuff to
like that it's
happen.
open ended and you can
Yeah.
take it
Yeah,
whichever way you want.
exactly.
And
I thought that
even
was
like
cool.
Hop says, is like you find a way to accept the story and we can kind
Yes.
of have our own. I really like that they did it this way.
But
Yes.
then
And
it's also a parallel, like if she really did die, that this is her afterlife. You know what I mean? It's like what
Hmm.
happens when someone dies. Like this is Mike's coping mechanism, but it's also you can imagine an afterlife for someone, even if they're not on this
Yeah.
planet still. So,
which is very
yeah.
lost like too, right?
Yeah.
Like
Hmm.
people
Yeah.
exist really by the memory
Yeah.
that they hand
You
to
live
other
as long as you
people,
remember, or
right?
whatever
And
the set saying
Exactly.
yeah,
is.
and it's also
Yes.
Lord of the Rings because at the very end, Gandalf says that death is just another path, one that we must all take,
Yep.
Yeah.
and there are white shores beyond, a green country under a swift sunrise. Was the sun
Oh,
rising when she was there?
I think
She was in a
so.
green
I
country.
think it was too. That's a pretty awesome
Yeah.
pull, Gina. I
That's
love that.
nice. Good one. Yeah, good one.
So
And there's
who
the
knows?
three waterfalls too.
Hmm.
Yeah,
People have pointed out
yeah,
that, yeah, that was nice. And the conversation that Mike and Hopper have kind of on the bench, that was very
yeah, that was good.
beautiful. It was good to see what Joyce and Hopper together, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was good
That was
too.
very nice to see. I
Yeah.
thought Robin's narration was little over the top,
Rockin'
little,
Robin. Well, she is always over the top though. That's
but
part of
she
why I
is
love her.
Yeah.
exactly. That's who the character is too, right? Like it was very sweet. I thought the whole thing with the older kids kind of agreeing to come and meet each other was sweet, but it's also something that
Yeah.
in the sequel we're going to find out that they really didn't follow through with it,
Yeah.
and one person fell out, and is Steve just going to end up being like this? It was very cute. He's like coaching kids and
I
everything, but
think so, but
And
I
he's a
think
teacher.
that's what he
yeah, a
wanted.
teacher is
And
good. I
I
like that.
actually love that because I didn't
Yeah.
think of it before, but he basically has been a teacher to these kids the whole time because he was the
Yeah.
Yeah.
old
And
kid, older guy with all these younger kids,
yep,
and
Yes.
I was like,
that
that's
was
a perfect
perfect.
ending for. I would never
Yeah,
would have
he's a
thought that going
coach
in,
too.
but
Yeah.
I love that.
And he could be like a high school teacher and have all the girls fawning over him, and he could like
Yeah.
that
Yes.
attention, but hopefully not do anything, Steve.
I saw another a side by side picture of that scene
So we'll go
compare, and
there.
it probably was a reference that I didn't think of at the time, but there's a very similar shot in Reality Bites starring Winona Ryder and Ethan Hawke, where there's four of them sitting on top of
Oh,
the roof.
yes,
Oh
you are right.
yeah.
Very similar. And
Nice.
I'm like, and it had to have
That's
been a
great.
reference with
That's
Maya
great.
Hawke there and Winona
Yeah.
Ryder. Obviously wasn't in that
Yeah.
scene, but
And
Yeah.
I like Nancy's path too.
Ugh, that I thought was the worst,
I
honestly.
I
I
loved
expect a
Robin.
lot more from Nancy Wheeler. I'm sorry. She dropped out of school. She's working for the Herald. Wah, wah,
The
wah.
best
I
It's
part
like
there
like
though
it.
was when Robin goes like, "Let me guess, you're a Navy SEAL," because I was
I,
like, "That's what
I
you should do."
I didn't expect that, but I expected her to maybe be like a war correspondent or be in some type of
Oh
military
yeah,
intelligence for sure. Like,
yeah.
hopefully her path leads her to something like that
Yeah.
because I mean, it's wasted at the Herald. I mean, at least have it be the Globe. Come
That's
on. Jeez Louise. That
yes,
was the biggest disappointment. Hey, Robbins at Smith,
Okay.
my sister
There you
college. I went
go.
to Mount
Yeah.
Holyoke.
There you
yes,
go.
yep.
You know,
There
Nancy,
you
get on
go.
over to
Nice.
MHC. Come on,
I was just
be
happy that she
girlfriends with
was a
Robin.
journalist, and
Yeah.
that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. But you're absolutely right. She could end up being president or something like that. Like I think
Yeah.
that could be somewhere they go in a sequel too, that
Oh yeah.
Nancy uncovers something, or she rises up in the ranks and she goes into the government and she finds out things, you know.
Yep.
That
Yeah.
could be kind of cool. We already talked about the speech, the Dustin speech, and
Yes,
then
that was
he
great.
pulls out the shirt, which was also great too.
And
There
I
was
love
one oh
the
go ahead. Go ahead, Gina.
throwback of the girl inviting them to the party because
Yes.
that's the girl that basically was like shit all over
Yeah.
him at the snowball.
When
Really?
Nancy
Same
picks him out
girl
later and
and
says
says you're going to
in 10
drive him
years.
wild.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and she was all like you should really come to our party. And they're like did this just happen?
And then they shot. Yeah,
So,
that whole
yeah,
scene
that
of
was
them
great.
getting saying, "No, I
I
got a
didn't
better
pick up
idea."
on
And
that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That
um
was
That is
great.
very
there was one
awesome.
other line I loved too, and it was a line about Jonathan because he talks a lot about it on the rooftop. But before that, when they're taking pictures, and Hop is like, "This isn't The Godfather," just and he's like messing with the lighting, and he's like, "What?" He can't get the lighting right when he's taking the pictures of Hop and Mike and Winona Ryder at Joyce before the graduation. Remember this scene at all, guys? So
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
quick scene where
Yeah.
the thing fall and he gets so pissed off, and Jonathan with his sport coat, like his hipster director sport coat and all this. I really liked where Jonathan ended up on this too.
Kind of surprised they're
Yep.
still living in that cabin though, and this is still boarded up
Yes.
windows. It's like, come
Oh
on, you
Yes.
God.
guys,
I know, right?
Yes.
do
Kind of
something there.
freaky. Kind of freaky. All right, good stuff. Well, I know Ando, I think probably got to wrap
I
it
got a
up
few minutes
here.
left yet. I got maybe 10 minutes
Um,
yet if we want to.
okay. Well, is there anything else that we wanted to chat about? I mean, I think we've talked also about many ideas. They do prequels, sequels, but this
Yeah.
is a good end for these kids. And you know what? A lot of them are working a lot and doing stuff,
Yeah.
and it's good to see that. And it'd be, give it 5 years, give it a 6, 7 year, you come back, you do it again, you do a little 6 episodes, maybe not 2 hour episodes, maybe normal episodes, do something
Yeah.
fun, or the prequels, spin-offs, whatever they do, I'm cool with. I thought that this was very fun. And one thing that I thought was really cool about this last batch is they didn't lean too much into the nostalgia, and that it really stuck to the characters and the story. And I really appreciate that about this show, and I'm interested to see what
Yeah,
these
I
Duffer
think there
brothers
was
do
less of
next.
that overall. There wasn't as many needle drops as normal.
Yeah,
There wasn't as many blatant, like they're not running around in Ghostbusters costumes or things like that, which I still like
Yeah.
those things in the other ones, but this
sure.
that stuff was dialed back a little bit in this season, I think for sure.
But that's cool because the focus was on, and that also that takes balls because they're like, we are the thing. We don't
Hmm.
need to pay homage to anything anymore.
Yeah.
We've become the thing.
Yeah, we are the thing.
And that is a good realization because it really is like, my son and all his friends, they all love this show. And, he always says to me, oh, it's nobody else watched it. And then his friends come over. I'm like, do you watch Stranger Things? They're like, yeah, we love Stranger Things. They're
Yeah,
just,
they
I don't
just
know
don't
why.
talk about it with
They
each
don't
other.
talk about anything when they're 13. I guess
Yeah.
I try to
On their
teach them.
phones.
Well,
And
he does not have a phone.
Oh, he
My son
doesn't
does
yet.
not have a
Wow.
phone. No.
You're a hold on.
My son will
Does he
not
have
have a
a
phone.
iPad?
He has a laptop
Okay.
and but he does not have any social media accounts and he's not on any phones. And he has a watch where he gets like some texts from friends and everything, but you can't really see anything,
Yeah.
you
mhm.
know? Yeah, keep the phones out of the kids' hands. I think it's insane to give like a 10-year-old kid a phone. What are you, fucking nuts?
I was doing research for
I'm not going to argue. I'm 100% agreement. Sorry,
I
go
was
ahead,
doing
Gina.
research for a client and like people are actually putting screens in front of like 0 to 2 year olds. It's
I
insane. And
I
using screens as babysitters if they can't afford a
oh
babysitter.
yeah. Oh
Like
Yeah,
no.
it's
that's
just wild.
Are you kidding me? I had a friend who the kid was like pre-verbal. I mean, it was like 6 months old or something, and was giving a old iPhone to look at. I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" It's like, "Oh, well, we better get used to looking at a phone." I was like, "Oh, good, yeah, that's right. Here, why don't you give him a cigarette? Also, here's a
Yeah.
pour my
needle.
whiskey
Here's a
quick. Yeah.
heroin needle. Why?
Oh
Why
my
not? Just start
God.
him out early.
No, it's
You know what I'm
crazy.
saying? Here's some car keys. Let him go."
God, Claire and I were sick over the holidays for like a week and a half, and we felt guilty about parking the kids in front of the TV for 5 or 6 hours.
I
And
know.
they're
I
8 and
know.
4. It's not like they're two.
I
Oh,
know.
that's just
Right.
scary.
I
Yeah,
know.
that is pretty
Well, you
scary.
know what? It's funny we're having this conversation because the great thing about Stranger Things is that it showed these kids getting out and riding their bikes and going on an adventure and
Well, and they
leaving their
don't have
fucking
cell phones.
house.
There's no cell phones
Yeah,
in this
there's no
show.
cell phones. They're out and doing shit. So the one thing is I hope that it never gets I hope Stranger Things never hits cell phones. They can go a bit farther in their age,
Mm.
but then as soon as like a cell phone is going to be introduced, never go that far.
One thing I like about this show is I think it actually, even with all the references, I think it's going to be timeless because it's set in a specific time frame. But I think it's going to age very, very well.
I agree. I agree. I agree, buddy.
What did you guys think? Just quick before we have to go, what did you guys think like overall on this season compared to the others?
I
Like
really
if I
liked it.
had, I really liked it, but I think it might be my least favorite season.
Really.
I mean, I
I
think
thought
season four is my favorite, then season one, then three, then two, and then this one.
Oh,
This one may be over two, but
I think season 3 is my favorite
the mall,
because the mall, that was just like that. I mean, for
Billy.
nostalgic
yeah, I
purposes,
loved I love three as well.
it was season 3,
Yeah.
the Orange
Billy was
Julius,
great.
just like that mall looked so 80s, just like some like half the clothes Max was wearing or Elwa was wearing and that. I was like, I think I had that. I had that shirt. It was just
Yeah.
like kind of crazy. And then of course the Never Ending Story song was
Oh,
Oh,
that
just
was in
like
that season too, wasn't it?
so
Yeah.
like it was just like the best weirdest thing to happen and I liked it. I think because that was when Max and Elle actually became
Yeah.
friends too. But I loved 4 too. I mean, I think they really just did get, better as they went on, but I think 3 is my personal favorite for nostalgic reasons.
Yeah. I still
interesting.
like this season a lot. It wasn't my favorite season.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, and the whole Mrs. Wheeler Billy
Yeah,
Yeah.
almost
Oh
hooking
yeah.
up. It was just so like, I don't know. It
that was a
was
lot
just
of
like
fun.
so 80s to me.
I like
Yeah.
them all. I think season two was a little bit of a lull,
Yeah.
but sophomore slump. But overall, I mean, I like them all. I like the way they show moves. I think they really have a great pop sensibility. not only about the nostalgia and stuff like that, and the clothes and the production design, but also in the writing where you can they really pull you into the characters and such, but they don't have a problem coming up with like kind of fun caper like ridiculous plots that happen. And I like that about it. I like the way that they have comedy, and it right up until the end there was funny stuff in it, you
Well,
know.
and
Yeah.
I think
So
one of the things they had said when the first show first came out is they wanted to be 80s Steven Spielberg mixed with 80s Stephen King. And I
Mm,
think
right,
it's still
it
I
works.
think they held
Yeah.
on to that till the end. I think that was
definitely.
a perfect combination of those two things.
Yep.
Yes, perfect. And
Definitely.
that's a great way to end it there, Ando. That's a great one. All right. Well, this has been very fun. Gina, any last words?
I don't think so. I think it was just, a good ending to a series, which sometimes we're left feeling really let down. And I think this one has people left wondering, which is better than just feeling like, oh, that ending sucked.
Yeah.
It's more like there's still the possibilities. That door really is still 3 inches open. So you never know.
Yep, definitely. Ando?
Yeah, I mean everything Gina said is perfect. I really say it. I think it's one of Netflix's best shows they've ever done. I think I really loved the show overall. Even like I said, even though I was a little bit less enthusiastic about this season, I still really loved it, and just a great fun show. And I like I say I can't wait until my kid gets 5 6 years older, my oldest kid, so I can show him this show because I think he will absolutely love it, and I think
Yeah.
this show will live on for a very long time.
Yep. That's when you'll have a couple other he'll be asking you which one does he watch first?
Yeah,
The
you're
prequel
exactly
or
right.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. And
Yeah.
this has been great doing these three pods with you all, and
Yeah.
we had a lot of fun, and we're happy that people have been listening and responding. And and Lachlan has promised me that he will pull himself away from his basketball and Valorant or Fortnite or whatever he's yelling at his friends about to record a finale podcast with me as well, because he does have thoughts to confirm with everyone.
Okay.
Um,
Yes.
but thanks for listening, everyone. Check us out, dvrpodcast.com. Thank you, patrons. You're the best. We love you. And thanks, everyone, for listening. Ta ta.
Bye.
Bye.
Nice.
All
Well, that was
right.
fun. Well, I gotta go get Luke to basketball practice. So
Great job, everybody. That was a lot of
Okay.
fun.
Yeah,
this was
it
fun.
All right.
was.
Take
Yes.
care.
I'll talk
Bye.
to you guys soon.
Oh,
Bye.
Gina,
Oh,
before we
yeah.
go, we were talking. Um, uh, thing of the year. Oh, well,
Oh,
we're going to talk
Oh
before that,
yeah.
yeah.
but before the week before the Super Bowl, because there's nothing happened because there's all the
Oh,
playoffs
is
going.
that the week of the 19th or 26th?
No, I think it's isn't it the first? I think it's
Oh,
February 1st, right? And the
The
okay.
Super Bowl
Super
the
Bowl is
8th.
on the 9th of February, so
Oh,
it would
okay.
be
Yeah,
like
All right.
February 2nd or
Good.
something,
yeah.
The t-shirt I've ordered for
or
that
first.
production will be here in time
Nice.
Oh, that's a
because
hell of a
Cool.
I'm going to be
tease.
I
talking
love it.
about a certain show as my highlight, and
Oh,
I'm
we know.
ready.
We didn't even mention Ando's great
I
jersey that he
know.
has on. I
It was,
like
you know
that.
what? It
Good.
was $5 on clearance at the worst place in the world, Walmart, and I was like, $5. I got to do it.
Oh, I love it.
Gotta. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
And it's a
nice.
sweatshirt too, which
Yeah,
is
it's
Yeah.
a
nice.
full hooded
Nice.
sweatshirt. Yeah. So
Oh,
Wow.
that's
That's
awesome.
cool.
yeah,
That's
so I say
very
for
cool.
$5, I was like, I gotta get it for $5.
Totally.